Ruth is a biblical example of faithfulness, and that we never know the impact the choices we make today might have. And although she's got a book in the Hebrew Bible named after her, Ruth wasn't actually an Israelite, she was from Moab. Ruth married a man who'd fled from Bethlehem to Moab in order to escape a famine that was going on, and he came to Moab with his father, mother and brother. Unfortunately, tragedy struck Ruth's family, and her husband, her mother-in-law's husband and her sister-in-law's husband all died due to the famine. Upon hearing that the famine in Israel was beginning to end, Ruth's mother-in-law Naomi decided to head back to her native Bethlehem, but she told the girls to stay behind in Moab and build a life and remarry. And whereas her other daughter-in-law decided to follow her advice, Ruth just could not leave her mother-in-law alone. And she said to her those very famous words, "Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people and your God, my God." So Ruth showed incredible faithfulness to Naomi, and Naomi was so grateful for it. A bit later, when they'd returned to Israel, Ruth was given the permission to go and collect grain from the fields, and she happened to go to a field that belonged to this man called Boaz. Boaz was a really good man, and he made sure that Ruth was looked after as she collected grain for her and for her mother-in-law Naomi. He'd actually heard about what Ruth had done by sticking by Naomi, and he was really impressed by it. It turned out that Boaz was a guardian redeemer for the family that Ruth was from. A guardian redeemer is defined as a close, influential relative to whom members of the extended family could turn to for help, usually when the family line or possessions were in danger of being lost. Because of his position, Boaz was able to marry Ruth as the guardian redeemer of the family. And Ruth and Boaz had a son together called Obed, and Obed went on to become the father of Jesse. Now, does that name ring a bell? And that is because Jesse was the father of one of Israel's greatest kings, King David. The selfless and faithful decision that Ruth made to follow Naomi back to her land in Bethlehem meant that King David's grandfather was born, and ultimately, back in Bethlehem and from the line of David, Jesus was born. Just as Boaz was the redeemer of that family who made it possible for King David to be born, Jesus is the redeemer of all of humanity, who makes it possible for us to be born again and to become a new creation in him. And none of this would have been possible without the faithfulness of Ruth the Moabite, one of God's sergeants.